Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Elizabeth Pike. I am with the Travel and Tourism Research Association. TTRA unites the best and brightest in the travel and tourism industry, and we're happy to have you with us today. I wanted to take a quick minute to remind you of the upcoming annual chapter conferences, including the Seven States Chapter Conference from October 9th to 11th in Sioux City, Iowa, the Canada Chapter Conference from October 16th through 18th in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, Canada, and the Asia Pacific Chapter Conference from November 30th to December 3rd in Bangkok, Thailand. Registration is open for the 2025 Marketing Outlook Forum taking place in Fort Worth, Texas on January 27th through 29th. Register now for the early bird savings. And if you'd like to learn any more about MOF and our annual chapter conferences, look into our upcoming webinars, or become a member of TTRA, please visit TTRA.com. We want to now welcome you officially to our TTRA partner webinar, Data-Driven Destination Development, Measuring and Enhancing Visitor Experiences. I'm happy to introduce Jamie Majo, Client Success Lead at Rove, and DMO Executive Julie Gilbert, CEO of Destination Door County. Today, Jamie and Julie will delve into how the Rove Destination Insights platform monitors, measures, and visualizes the visitor experience data, how Destination Door County and other DMOs are incorporating visitor experience insights into their destination development and stewardship initiatives, and reporting examples to share with your industry, stakeholders, and partners to highlight best practices, opportunities for growth, and identify areas for improvement. I'll now hand it over to Rich Adam from Rove.
Thanks very much, Elizabeth. Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Rich Adam, the head of client development for Rove. I'd like to start by quickly mentioning that our hearts go to everyone who has been recently impacted by the devastation of Hurricane Helene, and we are wishing for safety for everyone who is bracing for the arrival of Hurricane Milton this week. In the case that Rove is new to you, Rove is a data and analytics company. We help destinations become more data-driven, to ask better questions, and to make better decisions through the use of our industry-leading insights platform and our portfolio of data products. We're privileged to work with close to 100 clients from 5 different continents around the globe: Los Angeles Tourism, Travel Oregon, Destination Canada, the State of New York, and Visit Panama are just a few of the DMOs that are leveraging our technology. As proud and longtime sponsors of the TTRA, Rove is delighted to co-host today's webinar and discuss the importance of the visitor experience and the insights that come from measuring and managing it. And I'm thrilled to have our client, Julie Gilbert, CEO of Destination Door County, and my colleague, Jamie Majo, taking you through today's discussion. Without further ado, I'll quickly review the agenda for the webinar and then turn it over to Julie and Jamie. So as both Elizabeth and I have mentioned, we're going to talk about the importance of visitor experience. What is rating and review data, the Rove product that we're going to focus on, seeing the visitor experience data in action, revealing the insights with Destination Door County, with Julie's commentary included in there. And then with time allowing, we're going to have some Q&A and just closing remarks at the very end. In the event that we're not able to get through the questions that are asked, we will be following up with everyone individually. So please don't hesitate to ask questions in the chat, and we'll look to make sure that we get those addressed either within the webinar today or following. With that, Jamie, over to you.
Great. Thanks, Rich, and thank you all for joining today's webinar. I'm really excited to be here and to dig into this new product with you all a bit more. And yeah, we look forward to your questions and feedback as we continue to evolve and improve this product. So I'm just going to briefly highlight the importance and influence of the visitor experience. It's probably not news to most of you on the call, but as traditional destination marketing organizations take on greater roles in their community and have more influence on the development, stewardship, and long-term sustainability of a destination, it's really critical to ensure the experience for both visitors and residents not only meets their expectations, but is unique and authentic. There's numerous recent research and reports that have identified visitor satisfaction and a memorable, exceptional visitor experience is not only a top trend, it's a top strategy as well as KPI. And again, as destinations focus on more than just marketing, according to the Destination Next 2023 Future Study with International and MMGY, visitor satisfaction is now as important or more important to measure than overnight visitation and marketing ROI. And not only is the visitor experience important, but it truly has influence. According to TripAdvisor, nearly 500 million unique visitors visit their website every month. And in 2022, more than 30 million reviews were submitted by 17 million members on TripAdvisor alone. A positive visitor experience is important, but why? It has measurable, meaningful impacts. And by prioritizing and improving the experience of visitors, destinations can benefit economically, work to build a positive reputation, gain a competitive edge, foster loyalty, and contribute to sustainable development. It's been proven that a positive visitor experience encourages visitors to spend more money in destination on souvenirs, food, transportation, and more. Happy visitors today translates into new visitors tomorrow. When visitors have a memorable time, they're more likely to develop an emotional connection with the destination, become repeat visitors, and share their positive experience with others. Word of mouth from trusted family and friends is a top decision-making consideration point for future visitors. And not only that, a positive visitor experience leads to satisfied visitors who share their experience, influencing others' decisions to visit. Positive reviews and recommendations help build a destination's reputation and attract more visitors. As travelers have an increasing number of choices and places to choose from to visit, destinations truly need to differentiate themselves to stand out. Superior visitor experiences can become a unique selling point, helping a destination to be perceived as more attractive than its competitors. So with all that in mind, let's take a look at exactly what rating and review data is. Many of you probably already have more traditional visitor profile and experience surveys in place. Those traditional surveys remain to have a place in understanding the visitor and tracking Net Promoter Score and having more targeted questions in place. But in many cases, it's not granular enough to really move the needle and convert data into action. Rating and review data is based on thousands of publicly available user-generated reviews that is aggregated into actionable metrics and analytics. Sourced from more than 30 global platforms ranging from Google to TripAdvisor, Booking.com, and others, the Rove platform aggregates and transforms the data into a dashboard for visualization and analysis. Rating and review includes 3 different scores. One is a rating score from 1 to 10 that has been, there's been a procedure that rescaled all of the different sites, so they're all on the same scale to consolidate and aggregate the ratings. Sentiment, which is the text that many reviewers write describing their experience. We use natural language processing to categorize the data, and the platform detects both the positive and negative sentiment towards hospitality topics and converts them into a sentiment score that can be quantified. And then the travel experience score combines both the sentiment and rating based on a weighted average of ratings and opinions. Sentiment is quantified into 3 main sectors and associated subcategories: accommodations, restaurants, and attractions. The insights are aggregated at a destination or sector level, but can be drilled down, and you can continue to peel back the onion to really get at that granular level to have meaningful actions and insights to look at the data over time, by month, by season, look at visitor profiles and visitor segments by various different neighborhoods, cities, and regions within a destination, or even by origin market, all the way down to the property level. So now I have a few examples of how destinations around the world are using this data as part of their strategy and plans, branding, to help identify strengths and weaknesses in other use cases. But first, this is just a sample of some of the clients, TravelSat clients that are monitoring the visitor experience and using this data to really kind of help inform their decision making, as well as some Rove clients on this slide. What I think is really insightful is that there are destinations of all different sizes, from Copenhagen to Flanders, Dubai to small French villages. But as you can see, a lot of them are European focused. Julie, why do you feel like that a lot of these destinations that are kind of leading the way with this product are more in the European region?
You know, we see a lot of the European destinations leading the trend and looking at that visitor experience more holistically. They're identifying tactics that focus on that pre-arrival, arrival, stay, and those post-visit experiences. And they take into consideration visitor segmentation, in-depth persona studies, journey mapping, and all of those things that provides them with the information to curate more specific and positive experiences at every stage. And we also look at Europe as a lead for sustainable tourism. They've been at the forefront of that for so long. And they understand that that visitor experience is more closely tied to the local environment as well as the community well-being. And they recognize that tourism must not only serve the economy, but also protect the cultural and those natural assets that enhance the residents' quality of life as well.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I think you're totally right. And something else that stands out to me is that they truly value tourism and view it as essential. I mean, a lot of the governments and policymakers and others, they really continue to invest in it and want to improve it and make sure that they continue to compete and differentiate themselves. Unfortunately, I feel like the US is a little behind in a lot of that. So our first example is from London and Partners, and they've used the data to identify strengths and weaknesses in their destination and to help inform their long-term tourism vision. What's noteworthy is London and Partners, even their name, is really embraces accountability and industry engagement. They're mandated to work with stakeholders across their destination, and it's really highlighted in their name, London and Partners. So they use this data to do a deep dive into the strengths and weaknesses of London to inform their long-term vision and visitor experience strategy. They conducted competitive analysis across 10 global other urban cities, and the vision was used to inform the visitor experience. And they also combined the rating and review visitor experience results with a visitor survey to understand motivators of visitors to travel to London, and other research to identify future emerging trends. So ultimately, they use the data to decide whether or not they're going to invest and prioritize to improve their weaknesses or build on their strengths. Some of the outcome and action items that came of this research, and it's still kind of an evolving product. As you can see, the tourism vision is at least 5 years away, but it really helped to tighten relationships with the industry and other stakeholders. They were able to establish trust by being extremely transparent and sharing not only the good news and the positive, but also where they were weak and the bad news. And they used the data to strengthen and diversify their experiences and their offering. In particular, they focused on food product offering and making that experience more unique, and trying to move it from a weakness to a strength. The second example is from Visit Brussels, where they've used the data to monitor destination performance, as well as to award best-in-class operators. Similar to London, destination performance and visitor satisfaction is a mandatory KPI for Visit Brussels that they're required to track and report back to industry. They've used visitor satisfaction data and competitive benchmarks in an annual report to help inform the industry on the strengths and weaknesses and areas that may need more investment. Again, they do not hide behind their weaknesses. In fact, they've even kind of embraced some of their quirkiness in some areas where they're weak, and to inspire some new branding strategy where they're talking about Brussels as perfectly imperfect. Additionally, they've identified dining and culinary as a gap in an area where they're not competing on as well as they wish they were. And they've used the data to partner with industry to develop other food and culinary experiences. They have an experience called Brussels-licious. Additionally, they've launched this is fairly new, so we haven't seen results yet, but they've launched a pretty competitive award to provide the top 10 outstanding operators in different categories with recognition at a high-level industry event. And then our third example is from Banff Lake Louise in Canada, where they've been able to blend various data sources, including a more traditional visitor survey, and create scorecard KPIs with the visitor sentiment data from rating and review. Banff Lake Louise has been part of the TravelSat Visitor Experience Program for over 4 years already, and they're truly dedicated to keeping a pulse on visitor perceptions through traditional surveys and Net Promoter Scores, but also measuring and tracking the visitor experience by season across markets. As an outdoor adventure destination, they benchmark their findings against similar destinations to understand how they compare and compete. And they use the rating and review data to monitor visitors' perceptions, to understand their digital reputation, and also to help validate the survey findings to dig into the whys. They've created an overall visitor sentiment scorecard in their dashboard to tie their two data sets together. By using both data sets, they can verify sampling representation and market share across traveler types between the two sources of data. Additionally, they can kind of dig into understanding why things are moving the way they are. For instance, if Net Promoter Scores dip and sentiment scores are high, is that more about the sampling distribution for the month? And if both scores are on the decline, what individual properties may be driving that visitor satisfaction and decline in Net Promoter Score? So now I'm excited that Julie is going to be able to weigh in and share some of the insights that Destination Door County has used this data for, and action plans that they have in place as they kind of think about what's next for Destination Door County and how they can leverage this impactful data. Julie, maybe you can just provide a little bit of background on what motivated you to add this data source to your toolbox and what value you saw in it.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. You know, as we try to better understand the visitor experience that we have here in Door County, we needed to be able to determine what will provide us that insight in order for us to move forward to ensure that the customer experience was at that level of expectation. We've seen, as you all will see further in the deck, some declines in satisfaction of visitors, and some of our occupancy numbers are down, and we just needed to better understand where that was coming from. And by utilizing the ratings and review, we can then create the programming in order to be able to address some of those challenges. And Jamie, you said earlier, related to Brussels, which, by the way, there is a Brussels, Wisconsin, just saying. But I think it's important for us as destination organizations to have those difficult conversations, but utilize the insight to be able to move past that in order to show the value of the visitor economy.
Yeah, thanks. You're totally right. And it is kind of an evolving target and something that's not going to happen overnight. So it's really important to continue to monitor visitor satisfaction. I'm going to highlight a few visuals and analysis that's from the Rove dashboard, but as you can see, these are fairly static snapshots. Of course, you can reach out for a more interactive demo to understand how you can really visualize and dig deeper and filter into the data. But this is just a sample destination snapshot of Door County. As you can see, it includes their overall rating, the number of reviews. It's extremely powerful. We like to say that it's a survey on steroids. There's more than 20,000 reviews, and that's just in 2024 alone. And they have about 300 products or properties across those three categories: accommodations, attractions, and restaurants mapped. And then sentiment is that text rating that tends to be a little bit lower than the overall rating, just because people are spending a little bit more time and explaining their experience and have different factors that they're calling out. And even within sentiment, there's more than 13,000 reviews just in 2024 alone.
Does that mean people are passionate about Door County?
I think so. I think that's good. They want to share with their friends and
Yeah,
family.
exactly.
So this is sentiment by sector. Again, I focused on sentiment a little bit more because I think that moves the needle a little bit. You can see the 3 sectors and then the subsectors within each of them and see which ones are rated a little bit more highly than others. You can also select a specific date range. It doesn't have to be just for the current year. You can look at it by month or quarter view, and then you can see some of these small black dots here. You can hover over it and see the number of reviews for each of these. So you can make sure that the sample size is large enough. But in general, you have thousands of reviews. And just as an example, some of these scores look like that maybe they're not that vastly different from each other, that, they're all between 8 and 9 really. But even slight movements in scores are pretty meaningful. Just as an example, accommodations, there's more than 25,000 reviews. Attraction has more than 12,000 and food and drink around 32,000. So those small differences are meaningful. So just looking at these 3 sectors, so these are some of the trends by month. You can see the current score on the bottom and then last year's score right above it, and as well as the number of reviews. Not uncommon to Door, but unfortunately the high season where you have the most tourists, more crowds, more traffic, tends to have also some of the lowest scores and a slightly degraded visitor experience. Julie, I know that we kind of talked about this a little bit, just the impact of the high season on repeat visitors and just kind of the experience that they're having. What do you think?
Yeah, it definitely impacts them and its perspective. If we have a high number of repeat visitors that come back to the county during the high season, and they have those specific expectations that they've had year after year after year, and the county has changed. There has been growth, and traffic is higher. We always laugh that, trying to turn left in Door County over the summer is a challenge in itself. But you also get with service levels, we're getting back up to pre-COVID levels. But when you get to August and September, people are tired. And so you get that fatigue, and that could have an impact on the experience of the visitor. And then if hiking on certain trails or kayaking and some of those other outdoor experiences, that again, it's very crowded. People have a challenge with that. And so we see ratings and reviews reflecting that. And you can also look at low season. Some of the reviews are really good because they get a lot of attention, but then there are businesses that aren't open that would support additional services for the visitor. So then that impacts the expectation. So, and that really helps us better message to ensure that during these seasons, we're being very open and honest about that expectation level that the visitor will experience.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I think setting the right expectations and encouraging them to come at different days of the week or different times of the year is definitely been more and more important. And then looking at some of the drivers of the sentiment, not only do you have the overall sentiment rating, but you can drill down even further into the factors driving that. This scatter plot looks at the score as well as the year-over-year change. And the larger the bubble, the more reviews there are. So you can see within accommodations that location, service, and value for money in particular are on the decline from last year. And facilities has quite a large number of reviews and is also lagging a little bit. You can even click on each of these bubbles to dig in further. For instance, facilities also includes other factors around the hotel room itself, a gym and spa, internet, restaurant, etc. So you can just continue to dig on a lot of this data.
And Jamie, if I can add something to
Sure.
that, particularly related to or referring to accommodations, this provides us with tangible, actual insight that we can begin to talk to some of those partners if they feel that we're not doing the job that we need to be doing in generating the visitation and the occupancy. Then this helps them better understand perhaps where they can increase their attractiveness to the visitor.
I also wonder if a lot of times it's just kind of awareness or not totally appreciating that maybe the location of a property it is good for XYZ activities. So yeah, just kind of making sure that they're very clear and in kind of their descriptions. This is where you can get down to the property level and really start sharing with your industry and operators. This is for accommodations. You can see there's about 95 different properties that are mapped in here, and this includes the highest number of reviews, lowest number, the highest scores, and the highest and lowest growth. So this is really where you can start to take action. And then just something else that we've been talking about, and it's going to require a little bit more digging, but sometimes it's challenging to kind of convince an operator or convince a hotel owner that it's really important to invest in the experience and improve the ambiance or whatever it is. But Rove also has access to visitor spending data from Visa. So if you can kind of correlate and show that a negative visitor experience may actually be impacting revenue, I mean, that's really a hard selling point. It's hard to argue against that. And then Julie, do you want to talk a little bit about this program that's being launched in Q1 of 2025 that I think will be ratings and review will be really informative to help drive the needle too?
Yeah, as we look at ensuring the quality of our visitor experience, we want to make sure that as we move forward with the re-envisioning of the Certified Tourism Ambassador Program, of being able to provide more value to our partners, and what does that look like? With the ratings and review information, we can help partners identify strengths and weaknesses and help them understand where they excel and where they may need to focus on. And then that feeds into training and improvement programs based on sector or one-on-one. We also are looking at how can we pull in our community business associations, which are mini chambers throughout the county, in order to help them with their member businesses to be able to access this information as well. Really highlighting the consistency in that visitor experience and showing them, this is why, and these are the results, that these types of changes will help you in your bottom line, because that's ultimately what they want to better understand. And then it also allows all of us to benchmark. And I think that's really important so that we can celebrate those successes. And we haven't built out exactly how we will do that within this program. But with the information and the insight now, it gives us a real opportunity to build a robust program that then can increase and enhance the visitor experiences, where it also aligns, Jamie, with what you had talked about, is that if a visitor has a better experience, it meets their expectations, they do spend more and they stay longer. I mean, that's pretty understandable, and they come back.
They come back. Yep.
Yep. So.
And just an example of down to the property level, the kind of insights that you can deliver to your operators if they're interested, or you can even pull these reports out and download them, export them quarterly or annual. This is a very specific property that you could see that had a lot of reviews, but the score was fairly low. So you can not only see their scores, their reviews, where they rank overall in the region and the city, and then those satisfaction drivers that are impacting the overall sentiment score. And then you can click on different factors. I looked at cleanliness here since that was the lowest rated score, as well as declining the most. And you can, I mean, it's pretty abysmal. It's pretty ugly, and definitely something that you can take action on. So
Can I do this one when you have that slide up?
Julie, like, what do you think? Like, how would you share this
Uh,
fairly sensitive information with your property?
I haven't figured that out yet, but we will. But it's something that they need to know, and it also impacts the city, it impacts the county, and we do have to address it for sure.
But I also think a good starting point, rather than kind of focusing on the negative and the weaknesses, is you can do the inverse too and look at which
Yeah.
operators and which properties are doing really well or rated favorably, and people are probably returning to. So looking at kind of your stars as well, rather than
Absolutely.
So I thought it was really exciting that Door County fairly recently launched a destination stewardship plan, and looking at their vision and some of their strategic goals tie in really nicely with enhancing the visitor experience and how this reading and review data can help inform that initiative as well. Julie, do you want to just give a little background on the plan and strategy?
Yeah, so initially this started as a master plan, and as we got very deep last year into focus groups and one-on-one interviews and resident surveys, it was very loud and clear that it was a stewardship plan that our community wanted and needed. And in pulling everybody, all the leaders throughout the county together to identify what could be expected in the next 10 years related to tourism and development. This plan was launched in April, really getting everybody involved and taking a very strategic approach to that long-term plan. We identified 4 goals, and I 47 initiatives, I think, and those will be intended to serve as a long-term community-wide effort to proactively care for Door County's assets, as well as the natural environment and high quality of life for the residents. So that has been our real focus since April. And it is, again, it's not our strategic plan, but it's the Door County stewardship plan that we have a variety of roles involved in, and one being develop and enhance experiences, that we reach out and touch several different organizations continuously in order to ensure that we're doing what we need to do in order to increase based on a lot of the rating and review information. And we're just starting to pull out that data and be able to then, after the end of the year, roll out more relationship building with some of those businesses where we can really utilize this info to create and develop more of those curated experiences.
Great. And I was also thinking, as you add in other products and experiences, I mean, they can also be added to the platform as well. I mean, it will take time for people to visit and review them, but that's definitely something that can be tracked over time.
Yeah, and you look at what this means, and you'll see local arts, history, culture, and agricultural offerings, because those types of offerings in the county itself and the community, that's really pride and place, and it highlights and differentiates Door County from other focused outdoor recreational areas, because it really is that art, heritage, history, and culture.
Right, and I guess I understand as part of the stewardship framework that surveys were conducted of residents to kind of understand what their perceptions were of the quality of experiences in Door County. And a lot of these categories, attractions and culture, art and culture experiences are also tracked in the rating and review data. So it's not perfectly correlated, but we're able to kind of translate that 1 to 3 scale on a 10-point scale and understand how resident perceptions compare to visitor sentiment. So kind of aligning those two different surveys and touch points to really understand strengths and weaknesses of the destination and where there's maybe some misalignment. For instance, visitors rate attractions, museums, and historic sites pretty high, but residents do not. I'm sure that maybe that's just an awareness in general. I'm not surprised that residents don't rate the experiences as highly as visitor. They're just coming in from different perspectives and places on vacation versus where you live year round. But yeah, retail shopping there in particular is something that's not as high as we would probably like to see for both residents and visitors. Julie, was this surprising to you?
Yeah, the retail surprised me, but what it tells us is that we have to do some due diligence and dig a little bit deeper to find out if we can better understand that. So, yeah, it surprised me.
So then kind of going along the lines of understanding the attraction offerings and the visitor experience around some of the arts, culture, heritage, and agritourism offerings in Door County. These are just other examples of analysis that can be conducted in the platform. You can compare across the destination. So we have 3 different regions that Door County has identified and mapped, but it can be by neighborhood or city or region. So this is just comparing central versus northern region in Door County, the overall sentiment, the reviews, and the products. And then you can see the attraction sentiment for each of the regions, and then the subsectors. So this may help inform your destination stewardship and development to see, where agritourism or some of this history and heritage is being perceived as a better quality experience than another area of Door County, to see maybe which areas where they may need some improvements or areas that you may want to highlight more in promotions.
And it also highlights where we invest in a community investment fund that is specifically for tourism development projects. And there is a governance committee, and this type of information can help them better identify if there is a different direction that they want to take the fund and the types of projects that they want to actually fund as well. So it has multiple uses from a development perspective.
So going even further, you can see sentiment. These are all the attraction subsectors by visitor type. When you go onto a TripAdvisor review, it's self-reported, but you're required to identify what kind of trip you were on, whether it's leisure or business, who you were traveling with. So you can look at these satisfaction measures by visitor composition to really help inform your marketing. So, you see agritourism there at the bottom is ranked lower for families and friends than solo travelers and couples. What kind of product or experience could Door potentially create or improve to kind of help elevate those scores and maybe cater a little bit more to those segments?
Yeah, and I think that is a question that we want to dig a little bit deeper and better understand that. And is it attached to bigger agritourism businesses, or is it reflecting more of those mom and pop up, depending upon where our POIs are? So it's something that is on our radar so that we can better align it with our stewardship plan as well.
I think it's telling, and I mean, as a mom of young kids, that shopping in markets for families definitely performs lower. Not gonna lie, taking my kids shopping into markets is not that much fun. I would rather go by myself.
Yeah.
So, and then digging even more into attraction to the subsector agritourism, you can really see those drivers, what's impacting, what factors are driving the sentiment. And you know, while location is improving year over year, and this might be perceptions too. It's just how visitors perceive the destination and their experience. It's not necessarily saying that location is bad, but I mean, visitors perceive and experience that way. But you can look and see service facilities and cleanliness. The scores are lower and they're on the decline. So definitely something you are gonna want to monitor and potentially, hopefully improve. So just to wrap up, and like Julie said, you know, she's still fairly new to this data set, and some of these initiatives are just launching or will launch in early 2025. So a lot of these items are, you know, we're currently exploring to dig into further, and you know, just a consideration list of actions that Door County is, you know, looking to explore further. Julie, do you want to mention a few of these items?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about a meeting I had this morning with our tourism zone chair, and we have seen a decline in occupancy, and not huge. It's very consistent with national average. But what we will do is dig in a little bit deeper and overlay it with other data sets so that we can see, is you know, is it a factor of specific properties or sectors within our accommodations based on ratings and review, or are there other factors that are influencing? And then there is a couple of hotel developments being looked at here in the area. And so we will be meeting with economic development so that they can see what type of accommodations could fit within those areas, and ratings and review of the other hotels in the area could help them better articulate. It's not the full answer, of course, but it's just one part of, if there are reviews that identify things that the visitor would more like to see, which can help that new hotel coming in ensure that they have those types of facilities. So, you know, and then manage and monitor destination reputation is a constant. It's absolutely something that we take very seriously, as I'm sure everybody on the call. But it really is something that we have to stay on top of, because that can turn south very quickly.
Great. Thanks. So hopefully everyone found all these examples, case studies, insights, and potential action items insightful and things to think about. Just a few key takeaways. I just wanted to reiterate that a positive visitor experience really truly has real and meaningful results on spend, on repeat visitation, on reputation. And that destination management is great to manage your destination, but it also needs to be measured and monitored to understand areas of weakness and strengths and areas of improvement. And then this data is really what it really makes it meaningful and impactful is the ability to share it with industry stakeholders and partners to drive action. Getting down to the property level, you know, your typical visitor survey just can't get down to that kind of granular level, or to look at trends over by season or by market, origin market. We hadn't even really touched on that too, but you can see how visitors from specific countries and origin markets are rating your visitor experience too. So with that, I think we have a few minutes. We'd be happy to take questions or comments, feedback. And then, as we mentioned at the beginning, you know, we'd love to schedule a demo for you to learn more about the product, see it live and interactive in the platform, and continue to dig even more into the data. I don't know if there's any questions, Rich.
Yeah, so while we're waiting for some people to put them in chat, some of the common ones that we get, Jamie, around this data is, you know, when it comes to reviews, is it not only just negative people who provide reviews and things? And maybe you can comment on that and share what we see in the data?
Yeah, so I mean, it is a good question, and the validity of reviews in general. TripAdvisor's been doing review or hosting reviews since 2000. So as you can imagine, their platform and their algorithms have evolved quite a bit. And they also have transparency reports that they publish and other things you can look at. But they show that about a little bit more than 2/3 of reviews are extremely positive. They're 5 out of 5-point scale. And then the other 2/3 are kind of dispersed, but you do see about 10 to 15% on the super dissatisfied 1 and 2 side. So you tend to actually be people are excited to share their positive experience and want others to benefit from that, and to use that in their decision making too. So it's pretty representative.
Great. Now you mentioned earlier about overlaying spend data with this information for things like spend at at restaurants. What about the possibility of overlaying hotel ratings with occupancy? Are we able to combine those data sources?
Yeah, the Rove platform, I think that's one of the benefits of just having all your data in one place. You can include STR data, mobile data. So that's another great source to be able to see kind of visitation behavior and trends. So you can, see that high season impacts when tends to be more visitors. They're staying longer. There's a higher share of overnight, what that impact is on the visitor experience. So I think there's definitely a lot of overlap and correlations that's possible.
Excellent. Well, that's great. I don't want us to belabor the point. We're happy if there are more questions now, or if people would like to send questions either to info@rovemarketing.ca. The contact information for Julie, Jamie, and I is also shared at the beginning of the slides, which everybody who's registered for today will receive a copy of. So I think Jamie, Julie, thank you both very, very much for your insights and sharing this information. With that, I think, Elizabeth, we can bring this to a close.
Absolutely. Just thank you again, Jamie and Julie, for doing this for us and for everyone attending our call today. If you have any questions, like Rich said, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. TTRA members will receive free access to the recording in the coming days, and non-members can purchase it for $30. So we'll send out info on that. Thank you again, and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, all. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you.